Now today is, it's actually our last message on our purpose series, although I feel like I've got one more in me, but I'll have to fit it in at another time. Because during the summer holidays, we normally do a particular teaching series over the summer holidays, and that starts next week. And we're going to be digging into what we're doing, the book of James we're doing this year. We're going to be doing the next 6 weeks on the book of James. But this purpose series has been really good. I really felt like God had kind of laid it upon my heart to teach a few messages, and we've had a few other people bring some words of wisdom as well. And it's just, I like repetition, by the way. Repetition for learning is really, really important. And so we've kind of lingered in, although we've taken different angles, the message is the same, is that you are created with meaning and purpose, okay? You are not a random accident, and you are not made here just to float through life and hope for the best and try and not kill anybody. And yeah, that's not, you're made for stuff. You're made to do stuff, for work. You've got work to do. The Bible really talks about the way that you are formed and the way that you are made. And for this series, we've dug a lot into Genesis chapter 1, haven't we? And that's for a very good reason. And today, actually, have Genesis chapter 1 open on your laps, if that's all right. If you've got Bibles nearby you, there's probably one nearby. You don't. We're not going to be kind of reading huge chunks, but have it open in front of you, because these early stories in the Bible set so much of the rest of the Bible up. So they become really foundational kind of points of reference for us to go to. And if we are looking for, hey, what is our purpose? Why are we here? What is the meaning of life? And we're asking those sorts of questions, then it's really helpful, isn't it, to go back to in the beginning and kind of look at, hey, how did God set everything up? And and these guys, they were answering those questions as well. This is what they were doing. This stuff was written down about 3,500 years ago in a world where people were asking the same questions that we ask. Why are we here? What is the meaning of life? What are we supposed to do with the gifts that we have and the abilities that we have? And these are some of the stories and theology that got birthed out of those questions. And this is the story that was birthed out of the Hebrew people, the Jewish people, okay? 3,000 odd years ago. These are ancient documents. But they're not the only ancient creation stories, okay? There are a number of other, within the ancient world, there are a number of other different creation stories that are around there as well. And what's interesting is when you compare the Hebrew, Christian, Jewish scriptures with some of those old Babylonian, Sumerian, different cultures all around that era, their creation documents, is this one stands out as totally distinct and different. And we've got some really good records of some very, very old documents of other creation stories. And do you know what? They're fun to read. You should do it sometime. Google different creation stories of Babylonia and Syria and all of those sorts of nations in the ancient Near East, because we have loads of amazing documents. But what you notice is that all of the others have a lot of similarities, and this one really stands out as very, very different. And the similarities of all the others is that when they talk about how the world was made, how it was formed, is what is going on, why are we here, is all of the others talk about battles between the gods. So they have their gods and they're off kind of before all the earth was created, and they have battles. And quite often what happens is that one god defeats another god, and the body of that god becomes the earth. And then this victor god then kind of populates the earth, and there's all sorts of things. So the earth comes out of a battle. There's one story where there was a god having a battle with a giant, and the giant gets sick and he vomits out the earth. And therefore the earth was created by a vomiting giant. But what is really similar is, they're dead interesting, some of these things that you read. But they're all kind of communicating the same story, is that this earth, this world is created by randomness, by accident, not by purposeful intention, but just by there was a battle and this was the result of it. There was a sickness and this was the result of it. And this kind of happened by an accident. And that's not dissimilar to some of the creation stories that we're told today in secular media, actually, is, although it's less fanciful, we're told that it's an accident. It's a random collection of something happened way back when, and then suddenly all of this appears. Whereas within Genesis, within the Hebrew scriptures, there's something very particular that they deeply believed, is that this world isn't accidental. It isn't just happened by a battle that happened, or a vomiting giant, or a big bang. What this happened here was there was a creator, a designer, a God who very deliberately and intentionally crafted and made and painted and sculpted and worked on a creation. That this earth didn't just appear, but it was formed by a creator. And do you know, I just think that creation sings of this, by the way. I think it does. I think it speaks of it all the time. Is how you can look at the beauty of every single atom and cell as you kind of study GCSE science, which is as far as I got with it, and you're still overwhelmed with how does a cell structure work like that, and how does it hold together, and how does the positive and negative neutrons actually hold all of life into being and all the structure? It's because it was designed that way. Everything seems to speak of design, from the vast expanse of our galaxies to the way that eggs are fertilized in a womb and then multiply into a human being that then can talk and feel and think. It's like beautiful, intricate design. Photosynthesis happening in every blade of grass all the time, the movement of the waves and how it relates to the moon and how that goes, the rings of a tree and how it grows, the beauty of different colours as they spread across a sunset, the complexity and amazingness of human civilizations and community groups and relationships of love and partnership. All of it, to me, sings of a creator, of a designer, of a God who didn't just accidentally make something, but very deliberately and intentionally set out to create. And the Hebrew scriptures say, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. He is a creator. In the beginning, there's not gods and goddesses knocking around having battles and then something happens. No, in the beginning, there's God. And that God is a creator, and he creates. For the ancient Hebrew people, that's what there is in the beginning. There's their God, and he was a creator. No battle, no struggle, no vomiting, no outside influences, no set of strange events that accidentally made all of this. Just a God who creates. He is a creator, and therefore he creates out of himself and who he is. In fact, God is a creator, and he is a creative God is the very first attribute that we learn about God, because in the beginning, that's what he does. He creates. Just as an artist, as they're met with like a blank canvas, has that urge to paint and create something beautiful, God, not because of some sort of external influence upon him, not because of battle that happened, but just because of who he is, he creates. He creates something beautiful. And he fills this empty canvas of nothingness with all sorts of amazing possibility and beauty. God has a passion for creativity and design and beauty and goodness. God makes this creation, and he fills it up with plants and trees and seeds and fish and birds and giraffes and all sorts of things. Like, it's amazing, isn't it? Like, I always think a giraffe is like the one thing that if somebody showed you a picture of before you'd actually seen it in a zoo, you'd just go, no, that's not real. Your 5-year-old child has just drawn that. Like, that's not real at all. Like, it's, God, he is utterly creative. Nothingness, and then boom, beauty and substance and everything. And what do we learn about God as he makes us? In Genesis chapter 1, I've not got the reference here, hang on. But God said, let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the sky, and over our livestock and the wild animals, and over the creatures that move along the ground. And so God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them, male and female. He created them. So do you spot that when God makes people, there's something you've got to learn about people and their role. When God makes people, this isn't like the best bit of creation. This isn't like God's been building up and he's like, oh, I'm making that and I'm making that. And I've just finished making a lion and that's pretty awesome. I love the lions. And now I've got an idea for the best part of creation, and it's going to be human beings or people. It doesn't word it like that. It's almost like he makes creation and then he's like, hang on, I need something to play a role in this creation. To be co-creators with me in this creation. Co-workers with me. We've used the language of gardeners with him in the garden. So he creates people not to be like the crowning joy of creation, but to be mini hymns in creation. To be mini versions of himself, representing himself, leading and guiding forth creation, working in his garden, tending his garden, and creating alongside him. So God is the creator, and he makes many little creators in his own image, and he's like, whoa, I'm creating stuff all the time. Now I want you to create with me. We're going to look about creativity this morning and the power that we have to create. And it's a God-given blessing upon us as human beings, is that we are able to be creators and creative in a way that no other organism on the planet is able to be. You are made by God to be a mini creator alongside him. It's like God creates the raw materials of this cosmos. And then, what does he say about the raw materials of the cosmos? He makes it, he starts forming things, and every day then he steps back as he's creating, he goes, oh, that's good, that's really good. We did a study on the word tov at one point. That's tov, that's really good. And then he decides, oh, do you know what, this making stuff is so good, we need to have other beings in this world who can make stuff like I can make stuff. Co-creators placed within this amazing garden. Did you know that you have huge creative abilities, huge creative potential? Now, I think we limit this word about us being creators because we label creative people quite clearly, don't we? We know, like if you said, oh, are you a creative person? You'd either go, oh, yes, I am. Oh, yes, I am. I love to do this. I love to paint, and I love to do this. I can sew, and I can knit, and I can do that. And other people go, oh, no. I'm definitely not creative. No, I'm a practical kind of person. I'm not one of these wishy-washy creative types. Okay? So we label it, okay? We've differentiated between what is creative and what is not creative. God doesn't do that. Every single one of you is creative. You are filled with an amazing creative power. If you've ever been told that you are a practical person and not a creative person, today is the day to challenge that. You are a person that is created with a huge amount of creativity and a creative power upon you. I want you to hear afresh this morning that you are deliberately designed to be a co-creator with God within his creation. That's part of the role of all human beings. You are a creative person. You are incredible, guys. You really are. Like you're a walking, talking, moving bundle of creative potential. Like there's so much that doesn't exist right now, that isn't a reality right now, that you have the ability to form and make and create. And our God is a God who makes stuff out of nothing, and then he can take the blank sheet and then speak and go woof, and everything is there. He can take the tohu vabohu that we did a study on, and he can turn it into something that is good. And God has made you as his co-creators. I want you to move away from the idea that creativity is just simply people who are good at arts and craft. For some people, that is your part of your creative potential, definitely. But it's not just that. You are incredible. The creative gift can be applied to absolutely anything. Wherever you're taking something that does not exist right now and creating it into a reality, that is creativity. And that's incredible. You have the ability to do it. Andy this morning has taken the raw material of music and notes, that ba-ding when he strums a guitar, and he strung it all together to create music. So sound becomes music in the hands of a creator. A person with a blank sheet of paper is able to suddenly turn that into a blog or an article or something that influences people, or a letter that is sent out, or even an email that goes out to somebody and shifts something. There are people who can take an empty plot of land and apply kind of work to it and clear it and put bricks in certain orders of positions to build a home out of it. You can take things that are not here and create things. Even those of you who are good at spreadsheets. If you're good at spreadsheets, you're probably not the kind of person that said, oh, I'm really creative, me. But do you know how creative a spreadsheet is? A blank sheet of Excel document suddenly gets filled up with numbers because you're inputting them in, and then they influence the way that companies and different organizations make decisions. Because you have done something, because you've applied work to it, something new is created, a new reality is created. A person who can take an empty room and fill it in such a way with hospitality and love that other people can come into that room and feel loved and belonging. Something that wasn't a reality gets created by people who are creators. Someone who can take the raw material of a young baby and create a family environment where that baby is nurtured and loved and grows into an independent human being. That's creative, yeah? Do you see it? You see how there's all sorts of things that are just creative. It takes something that's in a fixed reality the way it is right now and creates something that is different from the way that it is. You are a creative bundle of potential all of the time. As you go about life, you will encounter all sorts of realities that need to be changed. Realities that are not good as they are right now, and they need to be shifted. Now that doesn't just need a hard worker, that needs a creator. Someone who can take the raw materials of that situation and go, right, I'm going to create. I'm going to form something new out of that situation. Wherever you envisage or envision a certain reality that actually is different from the reality that you know God would say is good, it needs a creator placed into that situation. It needs a creator in the middle of that to get to work on it. And you are creators with huge amounts of creative potential. I don't ever cease to be amazed, actually, by how much you can accomplish by a morning in front of a computer sending emails. So sometimes I don't do this very often. Some of you think I don't do it often enough because you get very late replies to emails. But sometimes I have to sit in the office and I just have to send emails. And it feels like the least creative thing that you can possibly do. But it's not. It's incredibly creative. New realities are being formed by that creativity and the creative potential of those words that are being sent out. I want us to view an email as the potential to take a reality that is not happening right now and form something new out of it. So last week we all gathered, who was there last week at the afternoon thing up in Middlesbrough Town Centre, yeah? So we gathered with a few hundred Christians from all across Teesside for our very first outdoor prayer gathering to kickstart Festival Teesside and pray over that and things, okay? Now, that wasn't a reality at all a few weeks ago. Just wasn't a reality. So how was a reality where God's people all gathered together to worship him and to have an outdoor gathering where there hasn't been one before? How is that formed? Do you know how it's formed? It was formed by sending emails. That was it. Click, open, brand new email. Topic, prayer gathering, Centre Square, Middlesbrough. Who wants to be involved? Can you do this? You're great at turning sound into music. Can you do something here? You're great at envisaging how we're going to pray for that. you're creative and you're able to kind of set up the sound equipment for us and pick up the stage, and you've got a van and you can do this. Email after email after email after email were just sent by me clicking new document, email, send, and then a new reality is formed where we all gather together. Oh, you're right, Myra. Okay. You see, like, we've got to view creativity differently. Now, yes, if you are a creative person, you're amazing at arts and designs and music and all that, then, that is part of your God-given gift. But every single one of you is made with a creative power within you. And I want to ask you this morning, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do with it? You can take that creative power and you can form new realities by sending a letter this afternoon, by sending a text this afternoon, by talking to someone after the service today, by getting a blank sheet of paper and deciding I'm going to do something with this blank sheet of paper that doesn't exist right now, and I'm going to create something brand new. Wherever you discover realities where you're like, that's not a reality right now, and I've got a vision for it, you have the potential, the creative potential within you, within your hands and your feet and your eyes and your mouth and your heads and your computers to create something brand new. Ordinary things in your everyday, mundane life have huge creative potential. Just by releasing the power of your minds and your hands and your feet and your emails and your pens and your spreadsheets and your rotors. Huge creative potential. And you don't think of them as works of art. But you know what? When you speak words of encouragement over somebody who needs to hear that, it creates a shift in their reality. Those words are creative. Where you decide, right, no, I'm going to apply my gift for finances. I'm going to be like, right, I'm going to do this really well. I'm going to create new financial possibilities for this organisation, for this charity, that were not a reality before. You are exercising your creative ability. God has given you so much creative power, it is unreal. Like, seriously, look at your hands right now. Look at your hands. Like, your hands can do so much. They can build and create and form new realities, and not even tomorrow, but you can do it today, right now if you wanted to. You can form brand new realities by the work of your hands. You are filled with so much potential. So today I'm just asking you, like, what if this is true and this is real, like, what are you going to create? Like, what are you going to choose to form? Because we don't want to be naive about this, is you've got potential for evil as well. You can use your creative ability and creative power to form things that are evil and are a reality that God would not look at and say, that is good. Or you can choose to create realities that are good. And God looks at and steps back and goes, ooh, that's my co-creator. They've just made something that's good. They've just formed a new reality that's good. What's the raw material that God's blessed you with and given you? What's the situations that he's placed you within that require a creator? Now, do you know, this actually reframes our understanding of suffering and the difficult situations that we're in. Because we were just praying for those in difficult situations. And we so often, when we're in difficult situations, we just want to be out of it, don't we? That's our urge, is I don't want to be in this difficult situation. But that theologically can get a little bit tricky, because this world is a broken world. It doesn't look good as God has intended it to look good. And so what does he need to send into situations that are not good? Creators, co-creators, people with creative potential who can apply the work of their hands and their mouth and their actions and their emails and all of the gifts that God's given them to form new realities that are good. So sometimes we have to shift our understanding of when we're in a period of suffering and the only thing that we can see is how can we get out. And sometimes God's saying, I've sent you there. I've placed you there as my co-creator. Now within that difficult situation, I want you to form new possibilities. I want you to use the creative ability ability and potential that you've got to form something brand new. Not today, not tomorrow, guys. I want you to do this today. One of the things that we forget about creativity and God's ability to create is we think it was done way back when. Genesis chapter 1, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And we think that's the amazing moment. I wish I could see that on TV. Like, what was that like? How did God form this world out of nothing? And how did he create it all? And we forget that right now, God is constantly holding this all together and creating. Like moment by moment, the only reason I exist is because God is continuously creating the world. Continuously. Like right now, nobody has ever lived this moment before, by the way. This is a brand new moment. Brand new moment, brand new moment, brand new possibilities. And so when I challenge you on this, I don't want you to think, I haven't lived my life in that way, I haven't done that. You've got brand new opportunities every single moment of every single day to shape the reality that we step into with God. God decided that he would not do this creation project alone, and he decided, I'm going to make some co-creators to do it with me. And that's you. And you right now are at the forefront, the cutting edge of God's creative time. And he is forming it every moment of every day. And he's saying, guys, come and join me. Help me form the realities and the creative potential. And help me make stuff good. And so you're going to use your hands and your feet and your emails and your mind and your paintbrushes and your pencils. Are you going to use it to form what God is doing? Or are you going to use it for your own purposes or the purposes of evil? God has made you a co-creator. You now, right now, within this moment, have a blank sheet of paper right before you. What are you going to open up? What are you going to create? What are you going to make and form and paint and design and plant and build as God's co-creator? You are so creative. Just have a sense we've got to step into this reality. There's a parable of the talents. You know that one where Jesus tells this story, and there's like a boss, and he's got some slaves, and the boss is going away, and he gives his slaves a certain amount of money, and he's like, right, you're going to have 5 bags of money, and this slave, he says, right, I'm going to give you 2 bags of money, and then this servant, he says, right, I'm going to give you 1 bag of money. And then he goes away and he's like, right, look after that money and do what you can with it. And when he comes back from his trip, he looks at these servants and he says, right, what have you done with the stuff I've given to you? And the guy with the 5 bags of money is like, I invested it, I played the stock market, I did some good stuff with it, I've bought and sold and traded, and now I've made you 5 more bags of money. And he gives it to the owner, and the owner's like, yeah, that's brilliant, well done. And then the guy with the 2 bags of money is like, I've done the same, and I've traded a bit like this, and I've done this, and I've created 2 more bags of money. Here you go. Here's what I've earned for you. And then he goes to the last guy with the 1 bag of money, and the guy said, I was just scared stiff of what you've given to me. And so I decided to bury it in the ground and leave it in the ground until you got back here, and just go and dig it up. And he digs it up, and he gives it back. There's the money that you gave to me back. I didn't want to risk anything. And within that story, the boss he lifts up and praises the guys that did something with what they'd been given. And the guy that just buried it in the ground and left it there, dormant, he says that he's slothful and lazy. Guys, we have been given a huge amount of creative potential. And you can use it to be fruitful and produce and create new possibilities that God wants us to create. Or we can leave it in the ground. Go and read that story. Some pretty harsh language for the guy who leaves it in the ground. Just buried. I don't want to cause any offense. I'm not going to do anything risky. I'll just kind of get through life. It's the guy who left it in the ground. God's made you for more than that. You have huge creative potential. Let's pray. Andy, do you want to come back up? I want you to ask yourself as we're praying now, within the situations that you're in, what vision do you have? Now, vision is something that isn't a reality right now. So take the stuff that, it might be stuff that's really hard, really depressing you at the moment. But what's the vision of goodness that God has got for that? Something that's not a reality right now, currently is a bad reality, and God has said, I have placed you, my co-creator, into that situation, amongst that bunch of people. And he's given you all sorts of skills. He may have given you musical skills, painting skills, design skills, sending email skills, writing letters skills, speaking skills. You've probably got hands and you've probably got feet. And all of you have got the amazing creative potential that God has blessed you with. The potential in this room is absolutely unreal. And God says, please, go and be my creators in this world. I place you here not just to be a really good part of my creation, but to lead it, to guide it forward, to rule over it, and to co-create with me. What are you going to form today? What are you going to create today? What are you going to use your gifts and your skills and your abilities to build and form and plant and grow and paint? Church, be blessed by the Creator God and released into your creative potential, I pray. Amen.